Hi everyone, it's Pastor Nissa. I'm here to lead a Sunday school lesson for you all for November 21st since we're not able to be in person for our Sunday school. We will still have worship, so we encourage you to join us for worship at 8 or 10 or watch the recorded worship that will be posted on Monday the 22nd. So this is Christ the King Sunday, so our lesson is about Christ as a king because Jesus is a king for us. And so we talk about the ways that Jesus is a king and how that's different than the rulers of the world. So we're going to start by reading our story. It's in your Spark Story Bible, if you find it on page 474. So we're going to start by reading our story together. The priests were mad at Jesus and wanted to get rid of him. "What will happen to us if the people follow Jesus?" they grumbled. So they made a plan. "Let's take Jesus to the governor, Pontius Pilate. He can get rid of Jesus." When Pontius Pilate saw Jesus, he asked, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus didn't answer. Pilate thought kings ruled over countries and people. Jesus knew that his power was about loving God. Jesus' kingdom was not the same. Pilate was frustrated. Some people wanted to kill Jesus, but Pilate didn't think Jesus had done anything wrong. Pilate didn't want any trouble, so he handed Jesus over to the people. The priests smiled. Soon Jesus would be gone. Jesus knew that he would die, but that wouldn't be the end of the story. Jesus knew God's plan too. So that's the end of the story in the Story Bible. But let's talk a little bit about this. In the story, some of the people who were in charge were worried that Jesus was going to become the new king. And Jesus talks about himself being a king, but he's not the king in the same way that the others were king. So we're going to think for a minute. I have some different sorts of hats here. And I was wondering what sort of hats you think a king would wear. We've got some different ones. Maybe some little cute cow ears. I don't know. These seem more like hats that kings would wear, right? This one would be sort of one that you'd imagine some of the Roman rulers wearing, Caesar Augustus. But this one feels like the hat that's most likely to have a king wear, right? You picture a king wearing a crown. Now, did Jesus ever wear a crown, do you think? Can you imagine a time when Jesus wore a crown? Now, we don't ever know of Jesus wearing a crown like this. He wasn't all about fancy things and power. But Jesus wore what we called a crown of thorns. When he was on the cross, they put they made some thorns into a crown, some pokey branches, and they put it on his head. And so they poked into his head, and it was painful, and it was hard, and it wasn't a pleasant experience for him to do that. So that's the sort of crown that Jesus wore. Not this one. The sort of crown that Jesus wore represented the king that Jesus was, because he wasn't a king for power and glory and just to be important. Jesus was a king in order to share God's love. Jesus was more powerful than death. Jesus could do all these miracles. He had all of these wonderful, important things that he could do, but he didn't do those things in order to seek out being powerful and having everyone look up to him. All the things that Jesus did, he did to share love. And he shared that love with people who were unimportant, who were outcasts, people who didn't fit in. So Jesus shared that love, not for himself, but for the sake of everyone else. So we think about Jesus as a king because of the love that he gave. And so we celebrate how Jesus is the king in our lives. Obviously, he is not in power in Washington, D.C. right now, although we could certainly use that. But we know that whoever the rulers are in our world, they're not Jesus. And that our rulers can make a big difference in our world, and they can do wonderful things or they can do terrible things. But Jesus is the ruler in our hearts, and we need to be faithful to Jesus above all and use that as a way to think about what our earthly rulers are doing and whether they are following what Jesus would want or not. So we're going to sing a little song to think about how Jesus is a king. and Jesus is a different kind of king than we might hear in the other places in the world. So we're going to sing King-O. I have it right here. And so this might be a familiar tune to you, like bingo. So you can join with me on the verses when we do this, okay? Let's sing. Jesus gave his life for us, a different kind of King-O. K-I-N-G-O, 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 a different kind of King-O. Rode a donkey into town, a different kind of King-O. I-N-G-O, 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 a different kind of King-O. Didn't wear a crown of gold, a different kind of King-O. N-G-O, 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 a different kind of King-O. Jesus gives his love to us, a different kind of King-O. G-O, 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 a different kind of King-O. Jesus gave his life for us, a different kind of King-O. Oh, 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 a different kind of King-O. Thanks for taking some time to think with me about Jesus as a king, to sing a song and look at some different kinds of hats that that kings might have worn. We encourage you also, we emailed out a Sunday school lesson page that we encourage you guys to do together as a family. There's some questions, some activities you're welcome to do, and a prayer you can do together. So thank you for joining me for Sunday school, and we will see you for our next Sunday school on December 5th. Bye, everyone.